All right, here's number 4, x to the second power plus 5x minus 36. So we're going to have 2 sets of parentheses. It's going to be an x times an x to give me that x squared. Over here, I'm looking for 2 numbers. Those numbers are going to multiply to give me c, and those same numbers are going to add to give me b. C here is negative 36. B here is positive 5. So I'm going to my green sheet and I'm looking under the 36 column. And some people are really good at these. If you know your factoring of numbers, if you know how to add and subtract mentally very quickly, you'll be able to find these very, very fast, okay? So I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me a negative 36, which again means that one of these is going to have to be positive and one is going to have to be negative. So if I try negative 1 and 36, that multiplies to give me negative 36. But negative 1 plus 36 gives me a positive 35. That's not right. And usually about now in class, I have a couple of people who really know what they're doing, and they usually can figure out what it is, and they shout out the answer. But we're not in class, so I'm going to move to the next one on the list, 2 and 18. Negative 2 times 18. Negative 2 times 18 is negative 36. Negative 2 plus 18 is 16, not 5. Okay, that's not it. All right, next on the list. 3 and 12. Negative 3 and 12. Negative 3 and 12. Negative 3 times 12 is negative 36. Negative 3 plus 12 is 9. Well, we're getting closer. At least there's that. We're getting a little bit closer. And again, some of you are like, I know the answer. And if we were in class, I would be moving on with whoever shouted out the answer. All right, 4 and 9, sorry. So negative 4 times 9 gives me a negative 36. Negative 4 plus 9 gives me a positive 5. There it is, finally. Negative 4 minus 4 and positive 9 plus 9. Those are my solutions. Again, if you wrote x plus 9 and x minus 4, that's okay. But the negative sign has to stay with the 4, and the positive sign has to stay with the 9. Because if you were to switch these symbols around, then when you added, you would get a negative 5 there. So the plus sign does have to be with the 9, and the minus sign does have to be with the 4. All right. We're going to do 2 more very, very quickly. So we have for number 5, x squared minus 13x plus 40. X squared minus 13x plus 40. So I'm going to throw down my 2 sets of parentheses. I got an x squared there, so this is going to be an x and an x. Over here, off to the side, I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to give me C and add to give me B. C here is 40, and B here is negative 13. So I'm going down the list to 40 to look for 2 numbers that multiply to give me 40. So here's 40. So 1 times 40 is 40. I don't think that's going to be it. Because when I add 1 plus 40, it's 41. Let's go to the next one. 2 and 20. 4, let me try 4 and 10. I'm going to jump down the list to 4 and 10. Okay, so 4 times 10 is a 40. 4 plus 10 is a positive 14. Wait, I want a negative number here. Well, if I want this to be negative, and I want this to be positive, and again, here's where the integer rules that you know are so important. To multiply and get a positive number here, both of my numbers need to be positive, which they are, but two positive numbers don't add up to a negative. Or both of my numbers could be negative. That would still multiply and give me a positive number. And when I add two negatives, I get a negative number. Okay, so both of these need to be negative, but -4 and -10 do not add to give me -13, so it's not that one. So let's go back to 40, and the next one on my list is 5 and 8. And again, if we were in class by now, someone probably would have yelled out the answer. So this is going to be a 5, this is going to be 8, -5, -8, -5, -8. A negative times a negative is a positive, 5 times 4 is 40. -5 plus -8 is -13. There's my two numbers. They are -5 and -8. And again, if I was to check this, I would distribute the x. I would distribute the -5. I would combine my like terms. And there my answer matches. All right, last one. This time I'm going to change the letter here so we can get used to seeing other letters. I'm going to make it a t squared. Just so we can get used to that, because that's going to show up on your worksheet. All right, so we got a trinomial. A is equal to 1. So I'm going to throw down my two sets of parentheses, and since that's a t squared, I'm going to write a t and a t there. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me C, and those same two numbers need to add to give me B. C here is -3, and B is -2. So I'm going to my list and looking for numbers that multiply to give me -3. The nice thing is with some of these numbers that are prime, like 13, 17, 3, there's only one way to multiply and give me 3. So I know my numbers are 1 and 3. But here's the deal. I don't want them to multiply to give me a +3. I want them to multiply to give me a -3. So one of these needs to be negative. So -1 times 3 is -3. -1 plus 3 is +2. I want it to be -2. So I'm going to switch the signs around. I'm going to make the 3 negative and the 1 positive. Since one of these is negative, I'll get a -3 here. -3 plus 1 is -2, so my two numbers are +1 and -3. And there is my solution. So you are going to be receiving a worksheet, and on the worksheet, you're going to do the front only of the worksheet. Only the front, and that's going to be due tomorrow. Okay? Tomorrow I also won't be here, unfortunately, so you're going to have to watch a video again and do the back.